What up, LidLine family? You are now listening to LidLine Sports. It's your boy Lil O in the building. No Pep tonight, so you know we had to go grab our man, Michael Carter, to come pull up to the studio today. What's up, Mike Carter? How you doing? How you doing?
Oh, I'm chilling, man. Chilling. Just glad to be sharing the show with you, man. Big O, not little O no more. Big O.
Oh man, it's always fun doing a show with you, man. Glad to have you on. The weather, man, it is officially fall slash football season. It's raining all day, Mike.
Ooh.
It's just been pretty bad. I actually went to the UW football game on Saturday against Cal. That was a throttle, but the rain was coming down bad then. But it was fun though. It's
My
UW.
in-laws were at the game. They said it was pretty mild for a while, but they didn't get too bad. They
No,
said.
it didn't get too bad. It didn't get too bad, and
I did see it though on TV. I watched it. It did look like it was raining on and off, but you
yeah.
were there.
The,
You were there. You would know.
the only thing that was bad was the score because they put it on Cal. It was bad about the time I walked into the ring. The field. I was a little late. It was already 14-0 by the time I got in. I only missed maybe the first 5 minutes of the game, so that's how you knew what was going on for that game going forward. Uh,
Right.
but we got we're gonna get in some college football. Of
Okay.
course, you're gonna fill us in on the NFL.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just a little bit of NBA news, but I wanted to start out with the Mariners.
Okay.
Last week of the regular season, as
Man.
of right now, they are a half game out of the wild card, the last spot of the wild card, and I think that they are 3 games outside of the AL West. So there's no room for error. After going down to the Texas Rangers, which we knew was a pivotal series, and you get swept.
Right.
Can't happen. It cannot
Can't.
happen.
It can't.
Um, and
That
I don't.
was that would that series was like the prelude to the playoffs.
Yep.
And if anything, you got to split with them or something. You can't get swept. Not at this juncture. You just can't, man.
Yeah, I totally agree. The bats got non-existent until that last game. Um, the Bryce Miller got rocked in game 3 of that series. I'm nervous. As confident as I was a couple weeks, a couple months ago. I I don't know, man. I don't know if these guys have the leg to this. Just like you said, the playoffs start now for these guys. There's no
Exactly.
waiting until the actual playoff starts. You're playing against two pivotal opponents. So the good thing is they hold their own destiny. You're
That's right.
playing against teams that if you basically win out, you will hold most likely that last AL wild card spot.
Right.
Um, unless Toronto just makes a great fall, it's coming down to Houston and Seattle for that last spot, in my opinion. Do
You're
you
right.
okay?
You're
Do
right.
you think
Yeah. Go ahead.
is AL West pretty much an afterthought?
Oh, after getting swept by the Rangers, I think so.
Okay,
I don't think the Rangers will actually go do have us get swept like the Mariners did. Um, I, me and Pepe been doing sports for years, man. I mean, we go back to the pilots, and for us in the Mariners, we come to the conclusion that hey, it is what it is. We just gotta ride with it, and I'm not gonna stick my foot out there and say nay or yay. I'm just gonna ride with it because when I say they're not gonna make it, they make it. And if I say they're gonna make it, they won't make it. So I'm just gonna ride it out. But they have to at least. Is it a 3-game series with Houston?
it
Right.
it is a 3 game series with Houston and a 4 game series, I believe, with the Rangers. Let's
Yeah.
see
So
here,
so so yeah, I think you're
three
right.
in each, three each, three
Three,
each.
three. So they
Yep.
gotta They got to win uh, 2 games from Houston at least.
Agreed.
If they do that, and then they take revenge back on the Rangers, they got a chance. If they could sweep back the Rangers, they could take they could possibly take that number 1 seed for the West. But you got to say, are the Rangers going to lose the next series they're in? And I hate playing that. If if they lose, just
Agreed.
just win, and they could have been. Oh man, it's just so many scenarios. But I don't like playing that. On the what do you call it, the Mariners pages, Facebook pages, and sports pages. And they're always talking about, well, at least the Houston lost, or well, this and this and loss. Quit saying that, man. Just Mariners got to win, man.
Yep. Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
I agree with you. Yeah, no, it's like I said, they hold their own destiny. They got to do their job first instead of worrying about what's going on with any other teams. Right now, it's the bottom of the second. The Astros are up 3-0
oh
already.
God, oh God,
At home, Luis
that's
Castillo is on the mound. It's
that's
just
bad.
gut punch after gut punch. Because then, you know, if there's one team that Seattle rides for good or bad, and which has been a lot of bad, it's the Mariners. But this is just really frustrating,
Oh
to
God,
watch.
it is.
Um,
It is. And year after year, me and Pepe go through this
exactly.
year after year after year, and it's like, come on, man. And it's like it used to be like that for the Seahawks with us, year
Yeah,
after year after year. But at least they've kind of they plateaued, and then they kind of been playoff
exactly.
bound, so they're not letting us down. But the Mariners, that was how many years they went without a playoff? Was it
20.
17, 20? Oh
Yeah.
man, it's hard to root for a team uh, of that caliber. It's just a professional team. It just
Yeah.
is. We're not talking about college or little league or high school. We're talking about pros, man, and just downright. Uh, it's kind of like they get you excited, like that girl that you had a crush on at school, and then you ask her to go to the prom, and she tells you, "Oh, I'm going with somebody else." It's like, oh, okay. No, she said, "You're a nice guy, but I'm going with Joe." It's like, okay, that's how
let
the
let
Mariners are.
let's you down in the nicest way possible. At least
Exactly, exactly. And then you got to
Yeah,
see her all year for the rest of the year in school. So,
yeah, and for me, this just goes back to just last year, kind of teasing us with showing in the playoffs last year that that they could possibly take that next step of being a contender coming into this season, getting off to that slow start, finally getting to 500, and taking off like a rocket and shooting off double digit winning streaks, and then going on the road and just pretty much tanking that, and now they put themselves in a like I said, not a good situation, but a situation where they hold their own destiny.
right.
Um,
You
I
know
guess
what?
we'll
I'd rather have them. Okay, so year after year, I always eat crow pretty much because halfway through the season or um, after the mid break, I said, "Oh, they're not going to make it. They're not
mhm,
going to do anything." And the last 3 years, they made me eat crow. They've done something. They made a stab, and last year they made the playoffs. So it's kind of like I would rather for them like this season. I was watching them. I said, "Oh, they're battling. They got a good chance to go." And I said, "Okay, if they don't flop after the All Star break, they're really in it."
mhm.
And now look at them. I'd rather them do this, what they're doing now, at right before mid break and after mid break, so there's not that big letdown at the end of the season.
Agree.
Uh,
Question before we move on, I do have one question for you,
sure.
Michael.
Okay.
So if the Mariners do not make the playoffs,
Yes,
is it time to move on from Scott Service?
it is. I just enough is enough. It's like if you look at any professional sports, I don't care what it is. It could be lacrosse or whatever.
Hmm.
They're not giving the manager or the coach this much leeway. And you know what? And I say he has done some good things, but for me, he's just too nonchalant and too easygoing. He doesn't seem like he has that bite to, you've played ball and you've coached, and when the team isn't doing, if the coach is not on it, you're on it. You're lighting a fire under a certain player. Come on, man. He's not doing it. You started up. You're saying we're doing whatever, and I don't see that in him. I see that just that, oh, we're okay. There's some good things out of this. We lost, but da, da, da. And he's just like that even keel kind of guy. And I think they need either they just need somebody in there that's young and hungry with the killer instinct, or look what Miami Dolphins did. They said they got tired of it and they went and got young McDaniels, and look at how he's turned that team around. The 49ers did it. It's just like you got it. I don't. He's got to go. That's just yeah.
No, I agree with you completely. I think there is just a certain level of intensity that is missing from this team when it's time to rise up. That they just don't have. And you're right. You look to coaches. Some players just aren't built like that, and it does take the coaches to get some of that out of you. And I kind of want to go the different way when it comes to manager. I kind of do want to get a veteran manager who's been there before and can teach a lot of these young guys what it does take to take this next step of trying to be a consistent contender every year. I don't care what anybody says.
I'll take either. I'll take either or. But
okay.
if we could find a good veteran coach that's been there and he knows how to light a fire up under there, yes. But don't go get a veteran coach that's okie dokie and we don't need another Holmgren on the Mariners. It's
agree.
Like you go get somebody that's bona fide if they're out there that knows how to spark a team and take a team with talent and build off of that, but if they can't, I say go get somebody that's young and hungry. I'd rather take a chance with that than the same old Cervasis crap. I mean, it's just how I feel,
Yeah, and no, you're totally right. The talent's there. I just think there's moves that need to be made, subtle moves on the roster, and then I do think it's time to move on, manager-wise. I got my Mariners hat on, man. I'm still
I know. I see you.
For the rest of this week, I'm going all the way until the final game of the season, just hoping for the best, man.
I hate to tell you, if they lose to Astros, if they lose this series, not the game tonight, but if they lose the series, if they lose 2 out of 3 games, it's a wrap. Because you can't be this close and at this juncture in the season and expect for them to be this down from losses and bounce back. It just won't happen.
I agree with you. Like if the Mariners don't win this series, I'll be pretty much. Yeah, I won't have much hope, but like I said, I'm a ride with him to the last game.
Oh, I'm a ride with him. I'm not gonna boo him or anything until to the fat lady sings. But it's just getting, how do they say? The rope is getting thinner and thinner, and it's gonna snap pretty soon. So, hey.
4-0 now. Mariners are down to the Houston Astros.
Oh, Lordy.
Michael Carter, did you watch any college football this year?
Oh, come on, Otis. I watch college football from Wednesday or Thursday all the way through. Nice. I'm my wife. That was a stipulation before I got married, and
let me watch my college football.
Oh, college! When football season starts, I even go to high school. My nephew plays that all day. I go to high school games.
I saw that.
Yeah, so I go to high school games. I even go to high school and college basketball games. I love sports, but football is like one of my main go-tos. And we made the stipulation. So I got the big screen in the living room with they bought me a one of those power recliners, and
just get real comfortable.
Oh, when it's football season, she's usually in the bedroom, and I'm usually out here. Unless the Seahawks are playing. If I'm watching the Seahawks, she'll be out here a little bit with me, asking me questions. But
okay.
Yeah.
So we had a couple top 25 matchups this weekend. Of course, the most popular one was Oregon versus
Ooh.
Colorado.
Oh man.
Deion
Oh.
Sanders going into
Oh.
Autzen Stadium, one of the most loudest stadiums in all of college football. Uh, we heard a little bit of smack talk from the Oregon football coach, not like how it's been the last 2 weeks. But they laid it down on Colorado, and Colorado. I think, for me personally, I love what Deion Sanders is doing, but we're just talking strictly football. They've showed some glaring weaknesses over these last 2 weeks. The one that everybody can see is the offensive line has not done a great job of protecting Shador Sanders.
Right.
Took I don't know. I think he got sacked 9 times again
Mm-hmm.
on Saturday. He was
Yep.
running out of the pocket every other play.
Yep.
And it just looked really bad. And the Oregon coach did not let up. And he said
I
at
wouldn't.
halftime, everybody who's been watching the last couple of weeks, I hope you stay tuned and watch the second half of this game because we're not letting up. We're going to come here and prove and show that we are here and we are the best team in the Pac-12. And they proved that against Colorado, 45-6, I think,
Yep.
35-0 at
No.
halftime.
They I think they scored twice.
They
9.
scored twice.
I think so. Yeah, I think
Okay.
so. But I quit watching it after it was just too hard to watch. I was like, let me go check out another game. But let me ask you a couple
42 to
questions.
6.
42 to
Yep.
6. Okay. Let me ask you a couple questions. So, question number one, do you think Coach Prime is just more of a hype coach, or do you think he's a good coach? And number two, I the Travis Hunter injury was majorly detrimental to their offense and defense because
Mm-hmm.
he's a both way players. So, what do you think about those two questions? Do you think that Travis that took that much out of him? And I'll give you an analogy why I know it was. Go ahead, give me what you think.
No, I don't think Deion Sanders is a hype coach. I mean, we just know personality wise what he brings to the table. I mean, does the media follow? Yeah. I think he's a good leader. I'm not like deep into football to understand the X's and O's of
Mhm.
of him. But
Right,
number one, the characteristic you have to have as a head coach is being a leader. You have to be a great leader.
right,
And I think that is definitely something that Deion Sanders brings to the table. He cares about these kids, which is another thing I think is super important, especially when it comes to college sports. So no, like I said, I just think that these things are, just was what comes with Deion Sanders, and the thing is which is why he is a winner because he will take his wins with his losses. I mean, he's not too
right.
big. He's not too big to understand that. He said it. We got our butts kicked flat out. We got outplayed in every facet of the game. So that's what makes yourself a good coach. You don't make excuses going down the
Yeah,
road. And
no,
then of course. I mean, Travis Hunter is their best player. He is a playmaker on offense, and he is one of the best cornerbacks in all of college football. You're talking about a team in Oregon who likes to throw the ball. Bo Nix is a pretty good quarterback over on the other side. The guy who filled in, I can't think of his name, who filled in for Travis Hunter, they were picking on him all game. All
right,
game. They're treating him
right,
like a kid. So
right.
for somebody to say that, Travis Hunter wouldn't have made a difference in this game, he for sure would. Now, I can't say if it would have affected him in the wins and loss column, but I don't think this game goes. Oregon's not just able to drive the ball up the field continuously. I don't think like that with Travis Hunter on the field. You have another weapon on offense that Shador can find.
Right.
But yes, is Oregon, in my opinion, the better team right now? Yes, I will, but say that. But like I said, anybody who is bringing in any type of hate or is waiting for Colorado to lose week by week is it's beyond crazy to say that. And for anybody to not give Colorado or Deion Sanders credit due as of today, it's beyond crazy. But yes, Oregon deserved all the credit of winning that game, and they were the better team.
Yeah, and USC is going to put it on them next week,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just going to get harder and harder. But I agree with you 100% that there should be no Dion bashing, and he's a stand-up coach. For a coach to come out and say what he said against a player that hurt his main player shows that he's got integrity as a head coach. He told everybody that the kid made a good hit. The death threats are not required. This is a
Yep.
contact sport. yada yada yada. He backed up a kid that's not even on his team. So that shows that he's all about the kids. You're 100% right. And as far as Travis Hunter, look what happened to the Dallas Cowboys when they lost their main cornerback. Their defense, it changed their whole scheme on their defense, and they got beat by Arizona. We'll get to that later, but that was my analogy. So when you do take a dynamic player like that, a, a super dynamic player that plays wide receiver and could burn you, and then comes and plays DB and could shut you down, and you lose that, it takes a big chunk out of your team. And you're right, Shador's not getting any protection, and it's just going to get harder though because the teams that they played before were not as strong as the teams that are coming up. Meaning
Exactly.
Oregon, USC. I think they play Arizona. I hope that if they play Utah, that's gonna be
Whew.
it's
That
gonna
is,
be
those are the type of teams exactly. Utah physically imposing their will. Teams like that, I
right,
agree that Colorado will struggle with, definitely.
right. And so I think that once Dion and Colorado gets a couple recruiting years under his belt,
Exactly.
and get a few more hogs on the line, defensive line and offensive line, and players are going to go want to go play there. So if he could just beef up the lines, D and O line, he's already got the dynamic other players. He'll be all right. He'll be all right.
Yeah, like I said, they're 2-1. I do see that they will possibly go 500 this season. They do have USC still on the calendar, like you said, next week. Oregon
Mm-hmm.
State down the road,
Right.
Washington State down the road, and Utah to
Th-
end the
th-
season. So
those are going to
yeah,
be four tough games you just named right there, man.
yeah.
Because
So I mean,
they're not going to do they're going to do exactly what the Oregon coach said is that they're going to keep the pedal to the metal. They're not going to
mhm,
let up because that's the mentality. And Coach Prime wants that. He says in order to be the best, you got to beat the best. So bring it.
yeah,
So there's no yada 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 when you lose. Hey, the best team won or lost. But
yeah,
it's kind of like taking in high school basketball, if you're in double A, say you've been in double A for 5, 6 years, right? And then a team moves up to triple A,
yep,
it's going to be a big difference for them because they're used to the double A teams and then they go to the triple A teams and it takes an adjustment, but eventually it pans out and they get adjusted to it. And that's what's happening with Colorado right now.
yeah. The team that in the Pac-12 who is not getting a lot of shine and probably outside of UW, I think, and Utah can really like compete for a Pac-12 title is
Mm-hmm.
Washington State.
Oh
They
man, the
just
Cougars.
Yeah,
Whew.
they just Oregon State came in to
Mm-hmm.
Pullman and they put up points relentlessly on what people were saying was the best defense in the Pac-12 in Oregon State. And they scored relentlessly on those guys. And I don't think any team, all those top teams we named, does not want to play Washington State. That is going to be a tough team for anybody to play. I like what they're doing so far. They've been beat two worthy opponents so far in Wisconsin and now Oregon State. I definitely think that they should be getting a little more pub than what they're getting. But I really like those guys. I really do.
You're spot on 100% plus 100%. Washington State is showing the whole league, putting them on notice that everybody wants to call us the stepchild, us in Oregon State. We got left out. We're only two. And they're showing everybody,
Good
hey,
point.
come play us. We'll show you how weak we are, and they're putting it on them. And I hope they keep doing it. I really do.
Yeah, that's a very good point you made. These are two teams that are the only lone teams left in the Pac-12 going into next year. Man, if the Pac-12 finds a way to reconstruct, or if these guys get to a new conference, they are going to love what Wazoo brings to them because they are a really good football program. And then, of course, before we go on the break, UW doing their thing, like I was talking about earlier, Michael Penix. He's improving on his Heisman season. That guy, watching him up live, he is a really good, sound quarterback, and I really do like that guy. I know everybody's talking about Caleb Williams and all that, but man, Michael Penix is. I really like the guy. And I'm not being biased,
No, he's
but
the
he
truth.
he has a lot to say for when it comes to Heisman. In my opinion, and I don't think Caleb Williams should. And I get why Caleb Williams is as of right now, number one, but he's breathing down his neck, and he put a number on California. But that whole UW team, man, is also really good. Another formidable team that is trying to, get into that top four and make it into the college playoffs. It's the Pac-12 is really good, man. It's hard to say who would you have right now as the best team out of the Pac-12 after 3 weeks.
Oh,
That's a tough question. It's a
that's
really tough question.
it's so tough right now because I heard the announcer say UW was the best, and I'm like, they're not the best, but it's so hard because I like Washington State. I like UW. I like Oregon. I like I don't really like Oregon, but I like them as they're going to be tough. And you got
Yeah,
USC, and you got Utah. It's going to be tough, man. And we'll see come the end of this towards the end of the season when the Pac-12 playoffs come up and championships. That's going to put up or shut up.
no, that's exactly what it's going to be. We're about to go into break here. When we come back, we're going to get into some Seahawks. Michael Carter's going to take over with the NFL talk and just a little bit of NBA right after this break.
Paul Pearson, host of Star Time, and this is my real voice. Honest. You're hearing it on Rainier Avenue Radio. World.
Should have told her you were sorry.
We must all remain committed to slow the spread of coronavirus, taking care of ourselves and not putting others in harm's way, especially those already at high risk of getting seriously ill, including people over 65 or those with underlying medical conditions. If you must be out, avoid crowded areas, stay 6 feet or 2 arm lengths away from others, and wear a face covering. Wash hands frequently with soap and water for 20 seconds, especially after being in public spaces. Avoid touching your face, cough or sneeze in a tissue, then throw it away. Disinfect frequently, touch objects, and if you have symptoms of fever, dry cough, and shortness of breath, call your healthcare provider before going to their office. Slowing coronavirus means taking care of ourselves while also protecting others. Even if you're not at high risk, these steps should be taken to help slow the spread of coronavirus. We are all in this together.
What's going on, world? It's your boy OG Mambo.
And your guy D Money. Join us along with Pint Size Patron and ID Yourself
Here on Fresh Juice at Rainier Avenue Radio.
every Wednesday hump day from 9 to 11 Pacific.
Get exclusive interviews from your favorite artists, all the hottest music, and updates on what we got going on in the world.
That's every Wednesday, 9 to 11 p.m. on Seattle's Rainier Avenue Radio.
This is Brenda Charles Edwards, host of Seniors Matter. Join me every week to get information on activities and issues that impact the lives of older adults and their families. That's Seniors Matter every week on Rainier Avenue Radio.
Hey, Seattle, here are some storage tips to love food, stop waste. Onions make potatoes sprout faster. Keep onions away from potatoes. Ripe bananas give off a gas that makes the fruit around them ripen faster. Store bananas away from other fruits. 40% of food in the U.S. goes uneaten. Save money, save food, save the planet. Visit Seattle Public Utilities for more tips.
Rainier Avenue Radio. Rainier Avenue Radio.
What up, everybody? Welcome back to Rainier Avenue Radio and LidLine Sports. Rainier Avenue Radio, man, they got a busy weekend this weekend, man. If you can tune in, we got the Metro League high school football game of the week. This Friday at 7 p.m., we got number 1 Eastside Catholic taking on number 3 Michael Carter's O Day at West Seattle Stadium. If you're not able to pull up, you can listen right here live on Rainier Avenue Radio. Man, that's going to be a good game. I might have to listen myself. This Saturday, we also will be having a broadcast live from the Future Ancient Soul Healing Festival at Judkins Park, 1 o'clock. And then next week, we begin our live broadcast to Seattle City Council debates with District 1, October 3rd at the South Seattle Community College, and District 2, October 4th at Columbia City Theater. So it's going to be a busy weekend, man. Pep, you ready for that game? Or Michael Carter, you ready for that game on Friday?
Oh, yeah. O'Day got this brother running back, Jason Brown.
Okay.
Woo, man, it's gonna be a humdinger because he tore Rainier Beach up, which I didn't think he was gonna do. Then he tore up Prep. He had 4 touchdowns before halftime against Seattle Prep. He could have had 8 if they would have ran him more, but it's like I'm telling you, man, he's this kid. And it's gonna be a good game though. That's gonna be the battle, O'Day. And then when they play Garfield at the end of the season, it's gonna be a battle too, because Garfield's balling. But before we get into the NFL, there's a couple college games that I wanted to talk to you about. Just real quick. I wanted to talk to you about Ole Miss and Alabama because that was a good game. And then Ohio State beat Notre Dame, which I was so happy because I do not like Notre Dame. And then the shocker for me was that Clemson almost beat Florida State.
Yeah, and even going to that Alabama game to start out with, that was a defensive showing by Alabama. They're getting back to those roots of being that juggernaut defensive team. Especially with questions about how they're going to consistently find scoring from the quarterback position. That defense, man, has been stout, has been holding it down, and they're going to have to try to find, that back door to open up to get back in that college football playoff talk. But if that defense can hold up, they're going to be all right in the SEC. It's just the offense, I feel like it will come as these guys keep moving, marching on in the season. I thought Ole Miss, maybe that's just who they were. Maybe I was just a little caught off with, how they played offensively these first 2 weeks of the season. But this is what Nick Saban does against his old coaching tree. He treats them as such. So
that's right.
Yeah, that was a good game. And then I didn't get to see much of the Ohio State game. How'd that go?
Oh man, it was a battle to the end, and Ohio State won. It was kind of like a walk-off home run. They won with they got the ball back and they drove down and all the way to the 1 yard line, no timeouts, and they punched it in for the win. And it was like it was a tough game. And I was debating with some people at the last O'Day game about that Ohio State was gonna annihilate beat Notre Dame because Notre Dame's in the independent league, and then you got Ohio State, who's from are they in the SEC? Big Ten.
Uh-huh.
And so I was saying how Big Ten, SEC, and the major conferences are way different than the independent conferences. It's like they got hogs on those SEC and Big Ten and the other ones. There's like 3 other ones that it's just hard. But they held their ground. Notre Dame held their ground, and Ohio State pulled it out though with that last second thing. And then Florida State, Clemson, they don't really have a quarterback, and it just shocked me how they were hanging with Florida State.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Oh no, it was just more surprising to me because Clemson was winning the majority of this game and then just let it go in the fourth quarter. So that was really shocking to me. I saw a lot of people actually thought Clemson was going to come in at home and actually win this game. So I was just really shocked to see this Clemson how let it go. Dabo Swinney man, it's been what 3 years or 2 years now, right?
Two.
They've been underperforming. That's something to watch over there. But yeah, Florida State, man, there's some dogs over there as well.
They are. So, well, all right, let's get into the NFL. Let's do it, man. So should we talk about the teams that lost that shouldn't have lost, or should we start out with the the team that did the unthinkable since 1966. What you call it?
Oh,
What you want?
we definitely gotta start with that. We definitely gotta start with that.
Yeah, my boys, man. I didn't think they were going to beat them that bad, but have 70 points with 8 minutes to go in the game. Oh my Lord, they destroyed the Broncos. The Miami Dolphins destroyed without Waddle.
Without Waddle.
Without Waddle, and they just showed yesterday it was that they have not only a passing game, but they have a running game too. And I'm not being biased because they're my team. I'm just going by what I saw. And I'll tell you one thing: that loss yesterday was not all had barely anything to do with Russell Wilson, because he was trying to do what he could do. And if you look at his stats, they were pretty darn good stats. You got to start looking at the coaching and the defense on that, man.
Yeah. There's a little bit of karma here because, remember Sean Payton had a lot to say about the previous coach at Denver. So now you to come in, you're 0-3, you get debacled by 50 in your last game. I hope that, Sean Payton is doing a lot of soul searching and looking at himself in the mirror, because it does not seem like, and I get it, 2 other losses, they're right there, close losses.
Yeah.
But to top this one off and lose by 50, you just did not do a good job to prepare your team coming into this game on Sunday.
Well, he ran his mouth too about Tua. You heard that statement, right?
No, I didn't. What did he say?
So before he was even gonna be a coach for Denver, he was running his mouth when he was broadcasting and analysts and all that, and he was saying by mid-season Bridgewater will be starting and Tua will be out. He kept hammering that, and I bet you that stuck into his head. I bet you that did. And he said, "Oh, I'll show this cat."
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they do a lot of, and I get it. You were an analyst last year; that's your job. But like I said, there's a lot of crap talking coming out of Sean Payton's mouth, and he's paying for it so far with the Denver Broncos. The defense isn't as stout as it has been over the last couple of years. The offense is trying to find ways to click. I don't know about the Denver Broncos, and a lot of people had thought that the Denver Broncos was possibly going to give the Chiefs a run for their money in that division.
Right.
As of right now, I don't see that happening.
No.
Sure.
No. Their defense is not that. If they let Miami score 70, trust me, KC's coming at them and trying to get 72. Not that they will, but they're gonna try. If they meet up. But I don't know their schedule. But nah, it ain't happening.
And you're right, Michael Carter. I mean, yes, Denver has a lot of woes, but this just says a lot about the Miami Dolphins offense and the big numbers and the big exciting plays that they can put up in. Just like you said, they showed off the running game which Denver could not stop at all game. The big plays, Tyreek Hill got going. I thought that Tua pretty much played a perfect game from quarterback position, and I'm just so happy for that dude. Injury-riddled seasons the last 2 seasons. Just like you said, a lot of people are questioning if he going to make it in the NFL and whatnot. And look at him now; he's putting on a show and a performance. Tyreek Hill is proving that he is back in the echelon of being possibly the best receiver in the NFL.
That's right.
These guys are really good, man. And anybody who put a future bet on the Miami Dolphins to win the Super Bowl, you should be pretty happy right now to start off.
I am.
Really good.
That rookie running back, he showed everybody that he's ready to come and do it. He did his thing, got over 200 yards. I'm like, holy moly! But enough for the Dolphins. We got more. We got more weeks to come about them. But let's talk about what happened to Dallas.
Yeah,
Dallas and Arizona. Did you watch the game or hear about it or anything?
I did not.
Okay, so I didn't, but I followed it, and people were texting me left and right because my oldest stepson was playing in a championship baseball game at Lower Woodland. So Pepe was kind of texting me, and a couple of my other homeboys were texting me and keeping me in the loop. And then I watched highlights and heard a lot of analyzation of the game today. And well, there goes all that talk about them being in the running for the best team, and you can't, in the pros, one player off your defense can't be that big of a drop off. But what it showed to me is that their offense is not. They don't have an offense. I mean, barely. And Dak is just the average quarterback that he'll just go even kill. He doesn't have that killer. And he just says the same old thing, robotic stuff after every game, and it's getting 6 years boring. What do you think? What's your take on that game?
I mean, I totally agree with you and the Dallas Cowboys that the offense is vanilla. I mean, I know looking at the stats, Tony Pollard did his job, 122 yards on the ground. What concerns me though with Dak Prescott, like you said, he's more of a game manager. He has weapons though, so I don't understand like what the issue is. Him not,
I could tell you
slinging the
what the
ball
issue
and being
is.
consistent.
I could tell you what the issue is. The issue is the same issue that Justin Fields has with the Bears. He pretty much has that where he's robotic, and his thing is sometimes he won't pull the trigger when he should right away. Bam, they're open. He'll hesitate. He does a little pump, and then the other thing he does is he gets to the red zone and he turns it over. You can't do that. You throw it away or throw it in a way where they can't catch it. It's the same thing that Justin Fields has, where they show highlight after highlight where players are wide open. He looks at them and they're saying throw the ball, and he does something else, and then he throws it somewhere else. And that's what Dak does. If you watch highlights of Dak, he has a little pump that he does, and I don't know why he doesn't release it on the first, like Tua and the good quarterbacks. They see him open, they're throwing it, bow, where he does a little hesitation, and they have his number. They know exactly what he's going to do. So yeah, it is what it is. He's not going to change. I hate to say it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Still 2-1 though. The Cardinals actually have been battling for all the missing pieces that they have. They actually been battling pretty well.
They have.
Speaking of Justin Fields, what about that debacle that happened over there, Kansas City, 40-0, no points put up by them. You heard more about Taylor Swift being in the building than you heard about the Chicago Bears even playing against these guys. So,
man, it hurts, man. If you've been to Chicago and you know how much pride they have of their team, you know that they are down there just kicking cans. Do not go down to Chicago with your opponents, your favorite team jersey on or hat on, walking around town, because you might not get a welcome that you think you are, because they're hot right now. It's sad to see that. And I like him. I like Justin Fields, but he's got a hitch. He's got a hitch where he just won't release the ball, and I'm not sure why they're not coaching that up and breaking that. I don't get it. And when the team, I'm going to say this real quick, and then you chime in. When a team loses confidence in the quarterback, it's hard for the defense and the offense to play. If you look at Denver, when they thought, that Russell Wilson's almost lost that team. There's a lot of teams out there. When you see that quarterback, they lose. The Jets, when Aaron Rodgers went down, they don't have faith in what's his name, Zach Wilson. So they'll try. They get paid to play, but they just don't have that spark that they would if they had that dynamic quarterback to spark them.
Agree. They have to. This is a guy. I know it's it's a different kind of league where you don't want your quarterback doing a lot of scrambling and running, but this is a guy who he had 1,000 yards rushing in.
Exactly.
He played pretty decent. I don't know what it is, but until you figure out either if you're going to move on from him or not, you have to. I think the Bears need to do a better job of putting him in predicaments where he can be a little more successful than what is going on right now. It's just hard to really blame all this on one guy. And
It
yes,
is.
Justin Fields is having, his woes. But it was 11 guys on both sides of the ball. Just like you
That's
said, this defense hasn't been able to stop anybody
nope.
also all season either.
Right. I
So,
agree. I agree,
yeah.
man. I agree, man. It's crazy. What about them Seahawks, man? That was a
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, the Seahawks. Getting some quick Seahawks talk. Really good win at home against the Carolina Panthers, who are without
mm-hmm.
the number one pick.
Bryce.
What's the?
Bryce.
Yes, without Bryce Young. So coming into this game, I was a little weary to start out because now you're game planning for another quarterback who hasn't played all season when you came in thinking that, possibly, Bryce Young, I think Bryce Young got was called out, I think by Wednesday or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a little weary with the game planning. They did get off to a slow start, but they picked it up going into that second half, blew it open by the fourth quarter. The Seahawks looked really good on both sides of the ball, in my opinion.
They
What'd you see
did.
out there?
I before the game started and I looked at the injury report and I was hearing all the players that are questionable. I was like, you get that feeling like, okay, here come the excuses before the game starts,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then I watched it and I was like, okay, all right, they're hanging. They're
Mhm.
doing what they need to do. I seen some as usual, some stupid plays and some couldas, shouldas, but I was like, okay, they're doing what they should be doing. And then they finally just took over and they, even with Dak being DK, not Dak, with DK being injured, I don't think Tyler Lockett did okay. I mean, as he usually does, but DK in the beginning, he was getting open, catching the balls, not doing a lot of diva stuff, and just focused. He was just locked in. When they needed a first down, he would get there. They needed some yardage, he would pick it up. And I was like, okay, this is the DK I want to see, And then that the tight end, he got a couple, and of course Walker did his thing, So I'm just happy that they won. It's like they did what they needed to do, and who do they play next week? New York. Monday night they play the Giants, so they got to keep the momentum going, and beat up on the Giants, so they go into their bye week to heal and on an uptick. So
yeah. So my bones so far. And I was talking to Pepe about this last weekend. It kind of was. You saw it in this game as well. The secondary hasn't been as good. Quarterbacks have been, kind of been able to get their numbers and
right.
Against these guys. So I'm still looking for those guys that shore that up. What's his name? Who's the quarterback? Andy Dalton, 300 passing yards. Adam Thielen, 11 catches, over 100 something receiving yards. So I'm hoping to shore that up. But we have good news. Jamal Adams, who was activated last week, looks like he will be ready to go on Monday. Pressure, we can now a lot more pressure to put on the quarterback. So hopefully that'll help. The rookie looked pretty solid last week as well too. Hopefully we can get back what's his name here sooner than later. Who's the cornerback that we lost last week?
Tyreek.
Yes, yeah. Hopefully we can get him back, Tariq Woolen. It's still early on in the season, but the Seahawks they're taking wins when they can get them. A 2-1 to start out this season.
That's right.
I'm not mad at that.
Definitely. No, they're pretty beat up too. They got a couple of linebackers that are beat up and a couple defensive linemen that are beat up. So I think that's why I was saying if they could beat the Giants and go into the bye week, and that'll give the injured players more time to heal, and it'll be on an up note, not this. Okay, now we're 2-2, fit 500. They'll be up on that uptick, and that's what they need. And then I'm just happy they're 2-1. 2-1's better than 1-2. So
definitely. And
what do you think about? Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, what do you think about the Steelers in the Raider game? Did you watch that at all?
Yeah, so I was able to watch bits and pieces of that game. Like I said, I'm a somewhat of a Steelers fan because of Mike Tomlin. I just love what he represents.
Oh, there you go.
So yeah, it was good to see them get a win. I don't know. Las Vegas is. I don't know. It's hard to put them in words of what they are as a football team. What was your thoughts on that game?
I'm glad the Steelers won, but because like you, I like the Steelers because of Tomlin, but also because that it's Pepe's team and he roots for my Dolphins as I root for his Steelers, unless we play each other. But the Raiders are in dire straits. I think. Who's their quarterback? Who's it? Isn't it Jimmy Garoppolo?
Garoppolo. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that says it all right there. I mean, Jimmy G. The 49ers got rid of him and Trey Lance for a reason. And if Dak Prescott doesn't be careful, Trey Lance will be stepping in his shoes. So there's two other teams though, real quick, because I know we're getting close to the wire. The Ravens. I don't know how they lost to the Colts. I don't know how.
Yeah.
22-19 was a close game, but still, what's his name?
The Colts had a backup quarterback playing too, right?
Yeah, and Lamar has to show me more though, man. It's like he's not showing me. No, and I'm going to give you an analogy on that one. Okay, everybody was saying how Deshaun Watson was rusty and this and that, and I thought they were going to lose against Tennessee. And Deshaun Watson came out and said, "No, I got the rust knocked off of me." But the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, he's just not. I don't know. I can't pinpoint it, but he's got to come do more. He's got to. You got paid. You the leader. You got to come out. I think he's trying too hard to. This is what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna let you think. Tell me what you think. My thing is, I think he's trying too much to be 100% pocket quarterback when he's more versatile, when he's slicing and dicing and running. He's got the. I know he doesn't want to get hit, but as none of them do. But he's just more dynamic when he's putting the defense on their heels. When he takes off, runs 30, 40 yards or 20 yards, and then next play he dishes it out. And then they run it. You mix it up. But when he sits back there and tries to scramble and throw it or sit in the pocket, he's just not that kind of quarterback to me.
Yeah, no, I agree. Just like we were talking about with Justin Fields. I mean, like I said, of course, the ball travels down the field faster when you throw it. But when you have a dynamic quarterback who can put the ball in and tuck it and run and make and still get big chunks like that, you can't.
Yes.
You have to make that a part of the game plan. And you
can't
make somebody a pocket quarterback. I mean, you got to allow, and this is with everybody, you got to allow them to play to their strengths. So, no, I totally agree with you on that.
I'll tell you this. I don't know if you was watching the Seahawks back when Holmgren was coaching and they had Seneca Wallace as a quarterback. Did you watch any of those games?
I probably did, but bits and
pieces. Okay, so the problem with that is we had Kurt Warner, the running back, he was killing, right? But you had Seneca Wallace as your quarterback. Well, then you had Matt Hasselbeck, but Seneca Wallace was your quarterback, and Holmgren was trying to convert him into a pocket quarterback when he was more of like a young Russell Wilson, strong arm, but he could scramble and get you yards, and Holmgren would pull him back and say, no, he's trying to make it. And he ruined him. He pretty much ruined Seneca Wallace. And that's what happens to some of these quarterbacks like Lamar or Justin Fields or Deshaun Watson. I could keep going, that they're dynamic when they run because they put the defense on the heels. But when the coaches say, or the old coordinators pull them back and say, okay, we want you to stay in the pocket or, pass it more, then you're taking away an edge, a part of the game that you have an edge on,
No, I completely agree. I wanted to get in some quick NBA before we get out of here real quick.
Okay.
The training camp's coming up this week and next week. The big news is we're now hearing a little bit of rumblings on Damian Lillard, that trade discussions are starting to heat up. I didn't think that Portland wanted to go into training camp and media days having to answer a whole bunch of questions about Damian Lillard's availability. What I'm hearing right now is Toronto Raptors have shown up in the thick of things, and it sounds like the Miami Heat are not letting up on an offer of what I believe is surrounded around Tyler Hero and a few draft picks, and it seems like more. I'm also hearing that possibly my Phoenix Suns could be getting in the mix of things, and that the Portland Trailblazers are interested in getting DeAndre Ayton. But yeah, it sounds like the teams that are interested are the Miami Heat, the Toronto Raptors, and I think I've heard a little bit of the Chicago Bulls. Where do you think?
Oh, I did. I heard that. Yeah, I did hear that. Where they're thinking about Zach LaVine for Damian Lillard, but that's kind of stupid to me because you're trading a player for a player of like.
Yeah.
You know, whereas Portland, I think they would be better off if they get Ayton, and I think Ayton would be happier in a new environment. And yeah, it's I'm liking it, but I'm not sure who should do what. But I think I would like that if he goes to Phoenix, your team. Oh Lord, oh my gosh. I think we lost Otis. Well, I'm still here, and I'm saying that if Phoenix gets there he's back. Okay, tell me what you think.
Yeah, I mean, which I think the Miami Heat will put some pressure, and I think that they'll up that deal. But I still some reason think he's gonna end up in Miami. But if not, if he ends up anywhere else, he's not going to be happy with the situation. Now he's a professional. He's gonna up or whatever. But if he gets to the Raptors, which puts him kind of in the same situation, or the Bulls, the same situation, the only other team that I can see him just taking them to the next level is the Milwaukee Bucks. But I really haven't heard them in these.
That would be nice too, man.
So I don't know. We'll see. But what I said, like what I'm hearing is that it's heating up, and there's possibility that something can happen this week. Do not hold me to that, LidLine fan. But that's we are out of time, man. Like I said, Michael Carter, it's always great doing a show with you, man. Time just
always, man. We could do this for a couple hours, bro.
We'll be back next Monday, just like you said. We'll be here at the same time. The Seahawks will be on Monday Night Football as well. So tune into that with my guy, Michael Carter, and myself, Otis, Lil O, Big O to Michael Carter, Will Stevenson, Daniel on the producing. Appreciate you guys. You guys have a good week. We out.
Peace.